우선 오늘 와주신 분들 너무 감사드리고요. 해당 세션 영어로 진행하기 전에 한국어로 꼭 인사드리고 싶었습니다. 저는 TRN Labs의 사업총괄을 맡고 있는 박지한입니다. 반갑습니다. Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone and thanks for being here. We have such an amazing group of panelists today. And our topic for today is what builders really need for Web3 mass adoption. I'm Jay Park, Head of Business at TRN Labs, leading the root network, XRP sidechain, which is EVM compatible, and I'm so excited to be here. Okay, let me just briefly introduce the panelists. We have Marcin, co-founder of RedStone Circle, Chris, Head of Growth and Strategic Partnerships at Axelar, Fig, co-founder of Squid. All right, let's start with a quick round of introduction of yourself and your company to the audience. Marcin?
Okay, let me try. 안녕하세요, Marcin입니다. I come from Poland. I came to the airport in Seoul 2 hours ago, so I'm pretty jet-lagged. But I speak Polish, and I do appreciate whenever someone learns a sentence in my local language. So I also want to appreciate all of you guys as Koreans. And throughout this week, I hope I will be able to, order a meal in a restaurant and, have at least a basic conversation with you. I'm co-founder of RedStone. I've been in crypto since late 2017. I dedicated half of my career into that industry. And as an oracle that is the fastest growing on the market, we do care about the data feeds that are delivered to various networks, including XRP and XRP Ledger, where we can propel and power the DeFi ecosystem. So very happy to chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, I'm Chris Robbins. I lead growth and strategic partnerships at Axelar. At Axelar, at our core, we're an interoperability protocol, but my belief is that we're so much more. So we're one of the few in this space who actually operate our own layer 1 blockchain with a smart contract layer that sits on top. So as we think through kind of the growth of various ecosystems, our core thesis is that blockchains need to be able to talk to each other, assets and messages need to be able to move seamlessly in order to get the maximum value out of the infrastructure that we're collectively building. So the areas of focus are really, tokenization, new yield opportunities, new trading venue access, as we think through what the next growth phase of the industry and what the Axelar ecosystem looks like.
Great. Fig.
Hello. Hey guys. My name's Fig, one of the co-founders of Squid, and we are a cross-chain protocol as well. We do swaps between blockchains. We support about 100 chains, and you can swap any token across chains instantly. And our thesis is that the future of finance needs to be on-chain, and a lot of what happens in crypto these days is still on centralized exchanges. A lot of people do trading just on centralized exchanges, and if we want to use the power of blockchains, we need to make it usable and easy to get any asset and make a payment across chains. We work really closely with Axelar and with XRP. We launched on XRPL, I think in June this year, and done about $5 billion of volume. Really excited to be working with the XRPL ecosystem, and yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, really appreciate your time for today. I mean, Korean audiences are really interested in altcoin trading, and we are familiar with, like trading assets back and forth and things like that. And due to your effort and time and passion on building the infrastructure, your product and your vision make it happen for a lot of traders out there, right? So I really love to discuss about the interoperability and the data. So the next question would be, how can interoperability and data oracle solutions accelerate the mainstream adoption by solving the user experience fragmentation? So how about Fig?
Go in reverse. Yeah, so interoperability means when you have two different blockchains, you can communicate between them. We have this problem that crypto has has thousands of chains now. And if a user wants to make a payment to another chain, say the person that they're paying holds their assets on XRPL, but they're on Ethereum, it's not possible without interoperability. So what we're doing at Squid and at Axelar, we allow you to make a payment across chains. Say Ripple, you have RLUSD, they have a stablecoin there. We have a real-world asset or another stablecoin on Ethereum, USDC, PayPal's stablecoin. You can swap these between chains and essentially do a payment across currencies. I like thinking about it like countries. When I'm in Korea, I can just bring my Visa card with me, tap to pay, and I don't need to think about it. And we need the similar kind of almost like foreign exchange to happen in crypto between blockchains. And it allows different ecosystems to trade with each other, different applications and developers, real-world asset providers to all interact between each other and create a global financial system on the blockchain. So we're trying to make it extremely cheap, fast, efficient, easy to use. And we're really, really close to being there, actually. I think there's just a few small things left, and yeah, we're ready for mass adoption.
Sounds great. How about Axelar, Chris?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, the easy-to-use part is absolutely critical. I think there are a lot of incredibly intelligent people within our industry who have designed protocols, designed infrastructure that's quite sophisticated. But if we're talking about mass adoption, it needs to be usable by my 75-year-old mother, whether it's easy swipe, an easy click, as Fig alluded to, just a tap of a card. That infrastructure that's focused on usability and really honing in on the user experience, I think, is absolutely critical. And my core view is that in order for us to receive mass adoption, particularly on the retail side, we need to abstract away any level of complexity. The user experience needs to be one in which they don't know that they're interacting with a blockchain. They don't know that assets are moving behind the scenes. And I think once that becomes similar to the TradFi experience, that's kind of the trigger, at least in my mind, that opens the floodgates for a much more robust retail usage of our infrastructure.
Sounds great. So how about RedStone? I mean, like RedStone is quite different on, how we can making a differentiator on how we can, trust the data and how we can just move with our instinct when it comes to trading market, right? So how was your thought?
Yeah, so oracles are unsung heroes of DeFi. The reason for that is you don't use it as a user. The protocol is using it. It's B2B infrastructure. But to bring it more to reality for you guys, let me ask you two simple questions, and please help me with raising your hand. Who holds XRP today? All right?
XRP 홀더분들 손 들어주세요.
And who knows what's the price of XRP today? Yeah, so you can check the price of XRP very easily in Google, CoinGecko, or other platform. It's about $3 right now. But this is like a human interaction. But if a smart contract, like infrastructure, needs a price of an asset, XRP, Bitcoin, ETH, even stable coins like USDT, they are not always priced $1. Sometimes they trade a bit below. And all of that information is delivered by an oracle to smart contracts, so they execute properly, so that the user funds that are deposited into lending markets, into perpetual protocols, into other primitives are operating correctly. So this is what RedStone has been doing for 4 years right now. We also base our infrastructure on tokenomics with our Red token that ensures cryptoeconomic security so that the data that we deliver is also verified. If any of our data providers is going to deliver wrong data onto the chain, that data provider is going to get slashed. So we created an end-to-end pipeline that has never, ever had a single mispricing or downtime event, 100% reliability. This is very hard. And we just ensure that whatever you guys are going to use on-chain is secure and verified with the accurate price feeds. So in terms of the user experience, you cannot see oracles, but if everything works well, that means oracles work perfectly fine.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, the reason why we can just trust the price and the asset without any trust, if it makes sense, is due to the infrastructure and the data oracles, right? So I'm really impressed that we have amazing, group of panelists who are leading the infrastructure industry and the data industry for the blockchain. The next question would be more tricky for you guys. I mean, as a builder myself, I see a lot of ideas comes and goes during the bear market and even in the bull market. But in the bear market, it gets serious sometimes. But during this bull cycle we are now facing, I see a lot of idea from bear market is now shining and blooming right now. So in terms of sustainability of the project you're building, how can project continue to innovate and grow even during the bear market? Marcin.
My answer would be simple: creating a sustainable business model. And what a business model is nothing else than how much revenue you make minus how much cost you incur, like every month to month, right, or week to week. So in order to create something that is sustainable, you can always hire the people that you can afford, so you shouldn't overspend and keep your infrastructure in, let's say, rigor. And then on the other side, think about the revenues. I know a lot of founders that focus only on marketing, PR, or being shiny for a month or two, but they do not think how to create something that pays the bills. And with oracles, for example, we always ask our clients, hey, the price feed or the data that you'd like us to deliver, how are you going to utilize that? Are you going to make money out of that so you can pay for the infrastructure that we are providing? So we think very much long term and look at the fundamentals instead of just a very short blip that someone is excited about, right? So if you're creating a lending market, a perpetual DEX, a CDP stablecoin, a yield-bearing stablecoin, Doppler Finance is doing really cool stuff right now with yield. So those primitives most likely long-term make a lot of sense. And those clients are the ones that with RedStone we want to work with. And to create a sustainable growth, even throughout the bear market, you just need to have partners that are reasonable and that can work with you through the thick and thin, let's call it.
That makes sense. I mean, building the tangible business model, which is visible for the traders, and from the business perspective, at the same time, is the most important thing during the bear market. So, how about Axelar's approach on this one?
Yeah, I think the Axelar approach is really focused on identifying issues or problems and solving for them. And I think that's probably one layer down from building a sustainable business model. Part of building that business model is identifying an opportunity to solve a problem and building a product or service around that, and then building a business around that. So for us, in terms of the longer term play for Axelar, our focus are, things like MXRP, which Yorgos presented on earlier, where we've identified a demand for yield-generating opportunities for assets that effectively are dormant. They're sitting in people's wallets, not generating much activity. But we're also focused on other areas. So, as I mentioned earlier, tokenization, providing access to yield, and providing access to new trading venues. So all of the work that we do falls into one of those three buckets with a vision towards 3, 5, 10 years from now, not necessarily 6 months from now. So one of the other areas that I spend a lot of my time thinking about is stablecoins. There's a proliferation of stablecoins in the payment space. You've got US dollar denominated. Hopefully very soon in Korea, we will have Korean won stablecoins. We've got a whole host of stablecoins. Well, the logical next step is, well, what's the infrastructure for those stablecoins to interact in commerce? Do we need to build FX infrastructure around that? So we think about what the longer-term play is to solve problems, build the infrastructure. Maybe we take advantage of a current market, maybe not. But the play is not necessarily 6 months from now. It's a year, 3, 5 years from now.
Sounds great. I love the idea on preparing the short-term narrative, which sparkles sometimes, but at the same time preparing the long run for the whole infrastructure level. So how about Squid?
Yeah, I agree. I think in the bear markets, it's the easiest time to actually focus on the future because you don't have all these shiny distractions in the short term. You can just lock in and build exactly what you think the industry needs. But to get through those periods, often retail will disappear, and I think what's done really well for us is working with other ecosystems. So almost more business to business during bear markets, and everyone needs interoperability. Every business, every chain needs a way of onboarding users or connecting their ecosystem up to other ecosystems. So we're really fortunate in that we can partner with tens, hundreds of different teams and support them through the bear market. So we're able to keep our business going that way. The other thing is that people are always moving money around. Even if the trading volumes on Binance and Upbit are lower, on-chain there's always money flowing. And I think from now on, we've seen so much institutional adoption in the US in particular and all over the world, that baseline activity is always going to be high from now on. So I'm not too pessimistic. I'm actually really optimistic about the future now. And if there is another bear market like we've seen before, hopefully there'll still be a lot of on-chain activity, and we'll be making enough money to survive.
That's a great insight. So since it's the XRP Seoul event, I want to cover, we've covered, like pretty much whole ecosystem topic so far, but I want to cover the XRPL as a specific topic. So the next question would be, for ecosystem-specific adoption, what unique opportunities does XRP Ledger provide for builders who want to reach retail audiences? And what is needed to compete with Ethereum ecosystem and other ecosystem for XRP Ledger? Marcin.
Yeah, I think I will start with congratulations to XRP and the XRP ecosystem, because it's not easy in that industry to last long. We've seen a lot of very shiny ecosystems that shined for a year or two and then went down like a eclipse. And with XRP, one of the unique aspects is it's been around for a very long time. Ripple, previously now XRP. One unique aspect is the users that are within that ecosystem are not the same users that are within Ethereum many times. So it means unique participants of the ecosystem. When you look at Ethereum, when you look at other EVM, Ethereum virtual machine ecosystems, many times they compete for the same audience. Over here, it's something unique, right? Like people who are within XRP, who are using it day to day, or at least are exposed to that. It's usually like either the only or the major ecosystem they look into. The second part is exposure to institutions. XRP has delivered a really good job when it comes to working with financial institutions globally, like the biggest banks and hedge funds all over the world. And with those kind of partnerships comes trust and comes long-term sustainability, something that we've been talking about previously, because big banks and financial institutions, they do have sustainable business models, so they can also cooperate in a very long-term fashion. And last but not least, I would say XRPL offers unique opportunities for new wave of DeFi that will be coming, in my opinion, in the coming months and years. Because right now it's not very mature, it's starting from the ground up, but this is a positive aspect. Why? Because we have so many learnings from other areas that worked or did not work. For example, UST Terra, right? We do know it was like not necessarily a great experience or experiment. But on the other hand, we have Aave, Compound, Etina, and many other primitives from the Ethereum ecosystem that worked very, very well, that can be right now translated into the XRP ledger. And for all of those, you would need oracles, you would need bridges, you would need infrastructure. And here we are, like supporting and powering all of those that are going to come in the months to come.
Wow, that's a great answer. I'm so excited on the movement on XRP Ledger DeFi, just like you mentioned, because we saw a lot of new assets and the new projects are making a success in Ethereum ecosystem, and expecting the same event on XRP Ledger soon. So how about Axelar's approach, because you guys working closely with XRP Ledger already?
Yeah, I think our approach is really reminding the XRP community that you don't have to start from scratch. You've got XRPL, and part of the work that we did with helping build the EVM sidechain was to provide accessibility to other ecosystems. So there's a lot of great work that's been done, and I think to Marcin's point, the real opportunity may be in kind of DeFi, and to be able to tap into liquidity that sits outside of XRPL, bring that through Axelar, the EVM sidechain, I think is a huge advantage that the XRPL DeFi community will be able to take advantage of very soon. I think there are also significant opportunities on the institutional side, obviously with RLUSD, other stablecoin assets that may be issued natively on XRPL. I think that just strengthens the payment opportunities, strengthens, as I mentioned, FX opportunities. But it's really, stepping back for a moment and recognizing that the building blocks are there, the smart contract infrastructure is there through the EVM sidechain, the swap functionality is there with leveraging tools like Squid. So it's putting it all together and then taking lessons from various other communities to kind of figure out what doesn't work, what does work, and ultimately what do XRP community members want this ecosystem to look like in the long term.
That's great. I really want to show my respect to all those infrastructure builders because we have solid foundation already and we're all ready to go during this bull market, right? So how about Squid, Fig?
Yeah, we think that XRPL is in a really special position in the ecosystem because of Ripple's involvement in the ledger and Ripple's relationships throughout the institutional world. We're already seeing huge assets come on chain onto the XRP ledger. Ripple's been feeding back to the XRPL team to tell them, oh, actually there's no team necessarily, but to the community who's building XRP ledger together to build more features that suit institutions. And we were in the Ethereum ecosystem before we came over to connect to XRPL, and I was really surprised by a lot of the features they have. Things that just wouldn't be possible on Ethereum are possible on XRPL, and these are very specific features for institutions that make it easy for them to come on chain. I think for users, the main thing they can benefit from are good assets and good opportunities. So, Meet Us, which is yield-bearing XRP, just got released. We've got, there's a team called Soil we're working with. We just announced with them last week. So they're doing TradFi yield. They've got like proper credit funds where you can get access to like institutional yield. It's small, it's only 6%, maybe 10%, but it's like very, very high grade compared to a lot of DeFi yield, which can be quite risky. So I think the opportunity I see is that we're bringing blockchains into the mainstream through real finance products. And I want this future where I'll never have to hold a bank account again. I'll keep all my money on chain. And if I want, a very safe, stable coin yield product, I can go to the XRP ledger and deposit into that instead of having to go through a bank or some other more, legal financial institution. So I think those are the opportunities to watch for. Definitely DeFi. We support swaps to any token on XRPL. There's a meme coin ecosystem as well. But I'm really excited about the institutional products.
That's great. Since we have the most passionate community from Korea who loves XRP, the last question, and we have like 3 minutes. So is there any news or like your words you want to deliver to the audience for Korean community, Marcin?
RedStone is in Korea for good. Yes, we are going to have a bunch of events throughout Korea Blockchain Week. We do have people on the ground in South Korea to promote what we are building and the value that we are delivering for the ecosystem. We are in XRP ecosystem for long as well. 2 weeks ago, Upbit listed Red, previously BitHump, so we are also recognized by the local ecosystem. And one thing I can tell you is we will be growing fast, and we'll be delivering innovation. Recently, we acquired Credora, creating the largest DeFi credit rating platform. And ratings like S&P, Moody's, and Fitch is a huge business in traditional finance. And we want to bring it to XRP ecosystem, and I would say Korea at large.
Interesting. How about Axelar for Korea?
Yeah, we're here for a reason. Yorgos, myself, Leo, who's also on our team, recognize the opportunity to provide really valuable services in Korea. We have a number of institutional partnerships that we've either announced or will be announcing shortly with Korean financial institutions, fintech players. And I think what's really encouraging to me is that Korea is at this really interesting inflection point where you have excitement amongst regulators, a robust, strong, excited retail community who understands the value proposition of crypto, understands the value of trading activity, and it's all kind of emerging at the same time where you're seeing global regulation ultimately align. And I think all of these factors come together to create really interesting opportunities to produce value here in Korea. So, our view is Korea in many ways will become a critical global hub for crypto activity. And I think it's in no small part due to the folks who are sitting in this audience who, have come out on a Sunday to talk about XRP in crypto, which, most other people wouldn't.
Amazing. How about Squid for Korea?
Yeah, I agree that Korea's in a really good position for crypto in general. And I personally believe that crypto is going to really take off in the next few years, and Korea will benefit from that. I really hope. I mean, I hope already with obviously the price action on XRP has hopefully made a lot of people rich already, and I hope that's just the beginning of things. Where also, I spent a couple months in Korea earlier this year. I really enjoyed my time. I'll be spending a lot more time here. We've got a lot of partnerships in the works with Korean institutions, wallets, DeFi projects. So I can't really announce them right now, but yeah, we'll be around. We're also, just for XRP specifically, we're bringing instant payments in and out of the chain. So at the moment, it takes a little bit more time. It takes about 10 minutes, can take 1 minute. But we've got some really, really amazing infrastructure coming live, hopefully in the next month. And so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, see you around.
Great. Thank you once again for amazing answers, and thanks for your time to be here. And thanks to the audience for spending time on Sunday. I think it's like kind of XRP church. It feels like it. I really love the vibe. Really love the audience and the time. So yeah, please stay tuned for Squid, Axelar, and RedStone, and let's keep in touch through KBW. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the week. Thanks.